Welcome to the eCommerce Podcast with me, your host, Matt Edmundson. Now, this is a show all about helping you deliver e-commerce wow. And to do that, we have a fairly new segment on the eCommerce Podcast called the Founders segment. Yes, this is where I get to talk to founders of e-commerce businesses. Guys and gals like you and me in the trenches, building and growing their own online businesses. We're talking to founders more and more, getting them on the show, which is great. Ordinarily, we talk to experts in different sectors, but we think it's great just to get you guys on the show to share your story as well. So if you would like to be featured as a founder, get in touch with us via the website, ecommercepodcast.net. We'd love to have you on the show. And today we are talking to Nick Radcliffe, who's actually just down the road, it appears, although we are recording this online. But Nick is from the Christian Poster Company, and we're going to be talking about his journey from being a doctor into the world of e-commerce. Oh yes, but before we get into that, a warm welcome to anybody who is new to the show. It's great to have you here on joining us on the e-commerce podcast. Like I said, my name's Matt. I've been around since 2002 doing e-commerce. I mean, I've been around slightly longer than that, but doing e-commerce since 2002. And like you, I run my own e-com business. Over the years, I have set up, started, failed at, and succeeded at some as well. Around 21 online businesses, I think, at the last count. I don't know, some horrendous amount. Love e-commerce, love what it does for us as entrepreneurs. And so it's a great privilege and a great honor to get to do the e-commerce podcast. Like I say, ordinarily we talk to owners, to talk to experts, but today we're talking to an owner. Yes, we are. So if you're new, a warm welcome to you. And of course, if you've been with us a while, you'll be going, Matt, this is all a bit new. And it is, you're right. It's totally new. And I'm loving it. Let us know what you think. Reach out and connect with me on the social media channels, all the usual stuff. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on LinkedIn. Come and find me, Matt Edmundson. I am in there. Would love to hear from you. Now, Nick started the Christian Poster Company as a creative escape in 2020. Encouraged by steady growth and feeling burnout after 24 years as a medical doctor, Nick took the leap. The dreaded leap. We've all taken it. He took it in April 2024, so at the time of recording, just a few short months ago. And he took the leap to pursue his business full-time and hasn't looked back since. Maybe there's not been the time to. Anyway, what began as a side gig has now become his main passion. And apparently, Nick, you're loving every minute. A warm welcome to you. Warm welcome to the show. Great to have you on. How are you doing today, my friend?
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. As you know, I've been working my way through all your back episodes of your podcast, so it's a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, this is interesting actually, because you messaged me, I think it was on Instagram, telling me about your company and what you do, and the fact that you'd found the podcast, and were working your way through all the back episodes. And I think I just sent a message back saying I'm just really sorry because some of those early episodes, man.
One thing I'm finding in having started my own business is I don't know many people doing the same thing. So just listening, even if it's one way, to people talking about the world I'm suddenly finding myself in, has been like gold dust. So thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Well, tell us about, I mean, the I guess the clue's in the title, the Christian Poster Company. But tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the bio, this was started as just me enjoying doing some digital design in my downtime, and what I do now is pretty much the same as what I started back then, which is designing and now selling posters mostly, as you say, the clue's in the name, but also now some other bits of stationery like bookmarks, cards, that sort of thing, and they all are with usually Bible verses, sometimes hymns, and it's all in, I would describe it as a sort of modern typographical style. And it seems to have hit the spot. As I say, it's been growing pretty well.
Well, the litmus test, Nick, was I showed some of what you do to my daughter, who is a 17-year-old graphic design student who knows everything. because
Okay.
a 17-year-old
As they
goes
do.
as they do. No, I jest slightly. My daughter is wonderful, and actually very talented graphic designer. In fact, the T-shirt I'm wearing is my daughter's design, created awesome.
Ah, awesome.
And so talented graphic designer, and I showed her some of the stuff that you've done, and she was like, she really likes it. There's some of the stuff, actually, some of the bookmarks and postcards she's taken, which I think is
great to hear.
well, it's a testament to what you've done. So if you can if you can get through to my 17-year-old with graphic design, that's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. She loved it. So, and I've had a good look. It is very modern typography. Some of the stuff you've done is really great. And so I'm intrigued. You've got this sort of passion project, I think is how we described it in the bio. Have you done any formal graphic designers? Did you just start doing Adobe Illustrator because you fancied doing it one day? I mean, how did that come about?
I certainly haven't got any training apart from teaching myself. And I think it started, it feels a long time ago now, but I was designing some leaflets for the practice I was working at, medical practice. So that probably got me started on Adobe Illustrator. I thought, oh, this is quite fun. And it sort of evolved from that, became a hobby. Yeah, and just have taught myself and mostly teaching myself from YouTube videos. Usually when you have something in mind and then you think there must be a way of doing that and find out there is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, which is great. I'm kind of self-taught on Illustrator myself. Same. I didn't work for medical practice. I mean, I work in the web industry. I suppose I've got a slightly more reason to do it. But yeah, I taught Illustrator myself. Stopped using Illustrator. I'm not going to lie. If Adobe's listening, I'm not a fan of their payment system and how they do it. And just really not happy with Adobe on so many levels. But that's a personal thing. You know, I'm not.
Well, you're not the only one, but yeah. So have you found an alternative, or are you just?
Yeah, I use Affinity.
Affinity.
Yeah, Affinity Designer. I think there are certain things that Affinity doesn't do that Illustrator does.
Yeah.
But I use it predominantly, Nick, not to design graphic stuff, although I have done occasional stuff, because I don't think I'm a particularly great graphic designer. The thing I've used it most for is designing woodwork projects, because I am a bit of you see, you learned Illustrator. I went and got into wood stuff because I was kind of like, everything digital is on the screen, and I just quite fancied being able to touch things and, work with my hands. And so I started doing wood stuff. And, I use Affinity Designer to help me design those projects. And actually, it's fantastic and worth every penny. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, well, I do have a bit of sort of FOMO with when people talk about Affinity, and it's cheaper as well, but I just can't face learning a new tool. So I'm just sticking with it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think it's fair enough. I think all power to you, my friend. And I think if Adobe ever called me up and apologized, I would maybe go on back using their software. But the fact that they're not going to do that and they don't care is just another story. But it is what it is. It's the big guy, isn't it? So. Your e-commerce journey, then, you started this as a passion project, it said. And then, what was the date I read out? 2020. So lockdown. Yeah. Was that when you started to turn it into a business?
Yeah, it was about March 2020. But in my head, I don't really relate it to lockdown at all. It just feels coincidental for me. Because I mean, my job, well, if anything, it got busier during lockdown.
Oh, yeah, as a doctor, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, so it didn't feel like I was sort of, what shall I do with my time? And I'll pick up a hobby. But anyway, for whatever reason, it was around that time. And I started, I think I just put a couple of designs on Facebook, and people seemed to like that. And thought, I'll try on Etsy. And that's where it started. I was exclusive on Etsy for about, 2.5, 3 years. Mm-hmm. But now I'm still on Etsy, but now I've got my store that's on Shopify, and that's so much better for me in terms of profit margins and flexibility. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you find that most of your sales still come through Etsy, or is it coming more through your website now?
No, I would say 2/3 online sales, about 2/3 shop my website and about 1/3 Etsy.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting you've sort of managed to make that swing, because not a lot of people do actually. They'll start out on Etsy and it's because obviously they've got the captive market. It's hard to make that swing to get them on their own website.
Yeah, I think it's helped that I at the point I changed over to, well, not changed over, but developed my own website on the Shopify platform. I already had quite a big sort of audience and loyal customers, and it's not a huge audience on Instagram, but it's pretty well engaged. And also at that time, I started to. I'm still selling mainly online, but I do some events as well, so you see people in person. So again, that's that fosters a more engaged community. So I think that's helped a lot in terms of driving traffic.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's dig into this then, because I'm intrigued. There's a couple of things you've mentioned. Let's start with Instagram, and then at some point I'll just make a note here. We'll get to events, but you've intentionally built up an Instagram following over the years. Was that your main sales outlet?
Yes. Again, it wasn't that there was that much forward planning that went into it. It just is a good platform to, obviously a good visual platform in terms of sharing my designs, which are obviously visual. And again, it just sort of grew on that platform. So that's my primary social media presence.
And when did you start that?
I am on Facebook. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well, but reasonable engagement on Facebook, but I would say it's mainly Instagram.
Mainly Instagram. When did you start on Instagram?
Oh, from the outset of when I started doing this. So it would have been pretty much when I started my Etsy store.
Right. And so I'm kind of curious, in when you started your Etsy store, did you think at the time, I've got to do Instagram as well, or I've got to do some kind of social media to get people engaged to Etsy? Was it intentional? Was it more of I'm just going to start an Instagram thing because I just want to put my design work out there?
Yeah, it was more the latter. But it's as time's moved on, I've seen the value of it being, helpful in marketing, because I guess to contrast with email marketing, which I sort of feel I still am a long way from utilizing, but I get a bit demotivated doing that because it feels like everything that people speak about as being a positive for email marketing, I sort of get already with Instagram. So if I got a new product and I'm launching it, I'll put it on Instagram, or even put a teaser on a day or two before, and it's doing that I then see the sales increase, and again my loyal followers will engage with that. So that's working well for me. So whereas that my little sort of forays into email, I don't seem to sort of get those results. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So well, I mean, we can get onto that if you like, but it's interesting how that's worked for you and how that is working, because obviously you're getting good organic outreach on Instagram if you're putting stuff on there and people are responding, which is not always the case, to be fair, with organic Instagram outreach. So how often do you post on Instagram?
I would say it's probably once every 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
And it's no particular thinking behind that. It's just it feels like doing it more often. I don't want to be spamming people. Yeah. And that just feels about right. And also doing it more often. I don't necessarily have as many enough ideas to do it more frequently. Once every 2 or 3 days. So and that's usually a mixture of just the grid and then reels, probably a 2-to-1 ratio, I'd say, of those.
2 on the grid, 1 on the reels.
Yeah, I would say.
This is interesting. So, have you come across? I came across this chap the other day. Let me pull him up on my Instagram now. His name was totally gone past me. Peter. Oh, come on, brain. What was his?
Alan Peters.
Alan Peters. That's the...
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. So I came across Alan Peters the other day on Instagram. And he reminded me of you in the sense that, he what he does with his design work on Instagram is really quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talked about, actually, because I started to follow him as well on Instagram, one of the things that he said was that doing Reels on Instagram has totally he's got over 500,000 followers now. I mean, and I think he's got like 100,000 followers in the last few days. He has totally gone crazy, this guy, Alan Peters, in terms of his following. And what he does with his Reels, which I think is quite fascinating, is he takes an existing logo and in effect starts a reel by saying, let's fix this logo, which instantly gets everybody hooked into what's going on. Yeah. I think it's genius. And it's sort of 7 or 8 seconds of him talking about fixing somebody's logo. Yeah. And he's amassed sort of 500,000 followers. And I think it's transformed his business, really. And you obviously follow him because you knew who he was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have followed him for a long time. Yeah, those, and particularly those Reels you're describing, I think that's relatively, he's already had a big following, but he seems to have really sort of spiked in the last few years doing those Reels you're describing. And they're just very, very well executed. And he's a very talented designer, so that helps a lot. But also, I think just a lot, not everyone, it also engages really well because he's doing it with very well loved logos and and some people love those brands and existing logos, so you're getting the engagement from the people that don't like what he's done, and which I'm sure is quite deliberate as well.
I'm sure it's all very, very intentional, but he's done an astounding job. But I think that the thing is he has also used Instagram to grow his business, hasn't he? He's sort of gone that sort of route of using social media and using it very well. And understanding that, which is, I think, one of your tricks, isn't it? And Instagram's very visual, and I think if you're going to do something quite visual, Instagram makes a lot of sense to grow your business. I mean, what are some of the things that you've, I guess, over the last few years, you've learned about Instagram in terms of using it to grow your audience?
First of all, it's pretty easy, and also one thing I've learned is that some of the things you think are going to really sort of hit the spot and get lots of engagement don't, and then the opposite can happen. So just learn to accept that and not feel too downhearted if you when you click send and there's sort of nothing happens. Just try to just get over it. I've also found it, so I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this. So it's great for organic reach, but I have tinkered with doing like boosted posts or promoted posts on Instagram. So that's been quite an easy way of doing paid marketing. Yeah. With sometimes pretty good results. So I quite often, if I boost a post, it will get a cost per click of anything from sort of 16 to 30 pence per click. Yeah. Which feels pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it depends if how many of those clicks are converting into customers and how much they're buying. Yeah,
so that's the thing with doing the boosted posts as opposed to the setting up an Instagram ad. So you can't use your meta pixel, and you can't really get those. You can't measure it in that sort of way. But on the flip side, when I've set up a proper in the Meta Business Suite social media posts, I'm getting it sort of suddenly plummets to £3 per click, and I get sort of terrified and switch it off. Yeah. So if that's been a familiar story, but yeah.
I think we've all been there. There'll be people listening going, we're still there, if I'm honest with you, Nick. I mean, cost per click is horrendous when you look at the Meta platform, because you're competing with so many different things. And this is where you have to be really clear on, okay, if I've spent $20 today, on Instagram ads, how many sales did that bring in? And if it brought in enough sales to cover that $20, you're at a break even. Okay, can we improve on that? Yes or no? And I think it's one of those where it almost becomes terrifying when you think about the size of the numbers. In my head, rightly or wrongly, Nick, I think of it like monopoly money. And you spend tens of thousands of pounds on ads, but you go, okay, well, that's fine as long as my return on my ad spend, or the ROAS as people like to call it, is sufficient to cover the cost of that, the cost of my materials or time or whatever, and generate for me the profits that I need. So, the people that it's funny, isn't it? The bigger your e-commerce business grows, the more meta benefits. I think they make more money than anybody, in terms of when you do paid ads, or Google do some. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh yes, go and build your business, and then make us more money as you spend it all on ads because you're a crazy human being. But I get that. I think the only thing you can do to test whether boosted posts work or not is to say, right, this design I'm going to boost from day one and see what sales I get. This design over here I'm not going to boost, and I'm going to see the corresponding difference. And you can get some kind of gauge on it, I suppose, couldn't you? But in
general, when I boost a post, you get at least you get a feel for how much your sales have increased, even if it's not exact numbers. And like you say, if you're fairly confident that you're at least covering your cost of your ad, and then and you've potentially acquired a customer as well, and there's future value in that. So I sort of generally get a sense that it's helpful. But I sort of I'm just conscious that if ever I wanted to increase that, doing it properly with the pixel, then that's going to be quite costly and and it could be money down the drain.
It can, and there's no, regardless of what the gurus tell you, I think sometimes it's trial and error. And you've got to bear in mind that I think it's 3 to 6 months before you find out what actually works. And so you've got to be prepared to sink that investment. And it's, I can't
do it. I can't.
I feel
sure
your pain,
right.
brother. I do. I feel you, especially because you're already paying, your right kidney for Adobe Illustrator. So
that's right. But it's interesting though. Like, I guess going back to Alan Peters, as far as maybe he does do paid posts, but the ones that we're talking about, that's all organic reach, isn't it? And
I think he's done super well with that, and his organic reach has got, and he's just got, the problem for him now is going to be constantly pumping it out to maintain that reach. And the problem with content creation is it becomes its own worst nightmare, because you've got to keep putting stuff out there and keep putting stuff out there. And the problem is you think every time you've got to put something fresh, something new, which of course you don't, because no one's looked past your last 6 posts anyway on that, especially if they're new. So it becomes one of those things where I hope he doesn't get burnt out with the content creation. And the same for you, I think if you're using it to grow your business, then invest a lot of time in it. I would suggest you probably should be posting every day. I don't know what kind of stuff you do, but behind the scenes works really well. All those reels kind of thing, I think is to burst that organic reach is really great.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I could increase to once a day. That should be manageable.
I think especially if it's your main outreach tool, because in one sense it's free, but in another sense it's not, because it's your time. And it seems that people, if your ideal customer is on Instagram, then I would be on there, at least once a day, maybe however it's going to work. I'd maybe even do, come draw with me or come design with me sessions where it's live streamed, and it's that kind of, we're going to make this together and come draw with me and I'll show you how to do it or whatever. Those kind of things I think work super well. Even YouTube I think is good for stuff like that, but I think YouTube accounts take a bit of time to build up, and then you've got all the editing and all a big nightmare. So you've been full-time since April, and at the time of recording, that's 3 months. So what caused you to go from part-time to full-time?
So part of it was just became necessary because I was pretty burnt out with Well, yeah, with the medical career. I mean, there's a bit more to it. So there's been big life events that have pretty sort of left some scar tissue. Our daughter died, over
Yeah.
10 years ago, but she had leukemia. So I think I'm
Wow.
still that's just left scar tissue, like I say,
Yeah.
in the form of just getting very tired and
Mm.
just low capacity.
Mm.
And in addition to that, my wife now, she's got long COVID, so her capacity is pretty low.
Wow.
So part of it's been necessity. I just couldn't sustain doing medical clinics that were just wearing me out.
Yeah.
But so there's that side of things, but also I've just found I really love doing this creative business, and I really love it, all the aspects of it. So the design, the being nerdy about choosing the packaging and doing reels on Instagram and all the different sort of facets to it. So it's that, it's not just the sort of negative of wanting to leave things behind. It's just I'm enjoying this challenge, and it's those two things. And it was growing enough to make it feel like it's worth taking the leap.
Yeah.
And as I say, I haven't looked back. I mean, it's still a little uncertain as to whether that financially is going to be sustainable, but in terms of just going for it and at least giving it a go, I'm really pleased I've done that.
Well, it's. I mean, I'm obviously sorry to hear about your daughter and your wife, and the irony is not lost on me that you're in the medical profession, and here your daughter and your wife, quite severe conditions going on, and but I get the joy of being creative, and I get the buzz that comes about with when you've actually put something down on a piece of paper and you go, that's really good, and and you're kind of like, yeah, that's working, and I it's quite fascinating. I suppose one of the questions people are, I mean, you briefly alluded to it, but you're 3 months into it. Have you been able to create an income for yourself yet, or is it still early doors?
Yes, I'm paying myself, and so far that helps as well. So there's a lot of tax efficiencies, aren't there, with having your own business. So that's
yes, there are
helping, and including, so although my wife is, her capacity is pretty low, she's still able to, she helps with sort of packing up some of the orders and that sort of thing, to a much lesser degree than she might otherwise. But so that previously she was stay-at-home mum, so anyway she gets a little income from that to the family income. So that side of things, yes, and so we're still a little bit living off what little savings we had, and that pot is sort of gradually reducing. But on the other hand, because I've gone full time, there's a lot more I've been able to do and start to link in with the wholesalers, and there's been some more events and that sort of thing. So it does feel it's growing. So I'm hoping that pot of money running out and the income increasing is going to coincide at about the right time. And,
that's where your prayer life gets so much better, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Amazing how many entrepreneurs start praying. It's one of those.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely feeling dependent on on God, not on a regular salary.
We've all been there. Still there every month, if I'm honest with you. I think as you get bigger in business, it's the same thing every month. Like, will there be enough money? It's not, and now it's not just for me. There's however many staff. There's the rent.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? There's all the extra bills to pay, and all the things that you just every month you're like, well, I don't know. We'll find out. I suppose it becomes less of a worry. I suppose.
It'll work out.
It'll all work out. It'll all work out. Why did you choose Shopify? Out of curiosity.
So I just didn't really know any other options. No, that's not true. I tinkered with like WordPress for non-e-commerce things in the past. So I'm familiar with WordPress. So I knew they've got, I think is it WooCommerce?
WooCommerce, yeah.
That. I think I just Googled around a bit, and I'm not really one for doing huge amounts of research. I just think enough people are talking about it, enough people are saying it's working well for them.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go for it. And I did, and I've been happy with it.
And did you do it all yourself? Did you get a company involved?
I've done it all myself, on one of their sort of basic themes. But I think even with those, you can, if you keep it basic and not overcomplicate things, you can get it looking quite nice. And
That's you have no idea how cool that lesson is you have learned. There are people that have been around 20 years still don't know that lesson. If you keep it simple, it will look nice, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Rather than overcomplicate it.
Yeah. And then now I've got sort of a handful of apps that I've had to start paying for to do some things that the basic Shopify can't do.
So what apps, I'm curious, what apps have you found really helpful?
So one in particular called Deal Easy, which allows me to, so for example, with posters, if people are buying more than one, they get a discount, or there's a tiered discount structure. So buy two or buy between 4 and 6, you get even more discount and so on. And there's a little table at the checkout cart. That's really been good. A lot of people use that. Yeah. And you can break that down into your different products. So you get it for posters, or you just do it for your notebooks or whatever. It's been really good. Then there's one that I forget what it's called. And if you bear with me, I'll have a look at my app list. So there's one that's St. Prosie's Google shopping feed. Because without that, I found that all my products were going to the Google Merchant Center, but all the different variations as well. So say if I've got a particular poster design, but the A1 one costs 55 quid. So that's the thing that would be showing up in people's Google search, whereas I want the A4 £9 to go up. And that's it. That's been good. And then order deadline has been very good. So Shopify natively doesn't have the ability to, the checkout, like on Amazon. So if you order today before 1 o'clock, it'll arrive with you whenever, or a particular day. So there's one called Order Deadline that allows me to do that.
Very good.
So those are 3 that come to mind.
Very good. So what are some of the, I mean, it's a fairly, I love this because we've just started really doing the Founders series, and you're just started the founding thing, really. It's very new to the whole thing. But you've obviously been doing this as a side hustle for a little bit. What are some of the challenges that you're facing?
Definitely something that comes to mind is space in terms of premises. Again, I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. So currently I am operating out of the biggest bedroom in our house, which is, reasonable size, but I just love working from home and just get it, I can go get a coffee and wear my comfy clothes. And so in a way, I don't want to lose this benefit of working for myself, but I'm running out of space. Like if I want to have new product lines, I don't really have any space to put them.
Right.
And also, if I want to order larger quantities to try and reduce the price per item from my suppliers, I don't have really space to put that. So it's weighing up the pros and cons of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I remember when we did our first business. I'm going back to 2002 now, Nick. When we did ours, we were operating out of a small back room. I just had 3 computers in there, and we filled every single shelf with the products which we were distributing. And it was crazy. And I remember we'd pack them in the parcels, and I'd go down to the post office and stand in the queue with 20 boxes or 30 boxes or whatever it was, and do this every day. And at some point you kind of go, I just don't want to do this anymore. When's enough? And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the trouble with rent is at the moment is it's expensive. Yeah. And so then it's not don't do it, but I think it just becomes a nightmare. So I started to do things like, I thought, right, I'm gonna, rather than go and spend money on rent, I'm gonna build a big garage down at the bottom of my garden. And I did that for a little while, and then once I outgrew that, then actually we were starting to make a bit more money, which then made sense to sort of rent somewhere. Does that make sense? And I kind of had this sort of stepping stone process in my head that seemed to work quite well. Plus I got a garage out of it, which was always nice.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
So
unfortunately, we've got Yeah, our garden won't allow for that, so it'll be
I was
very,
going to
very
say, how
small.
big's your garden?
Yeah, no, it's one of these Victorian yards. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So sort of townhouse. It's
yeah,
an interesting one. There are things that you can do, right?
yeah,
But you can obviously go and rent somewhere, and I think in Liverpool especially, there are some places where you can go and rent where they have favourable rents and rates because you are in the creative space and they're looking
yeah.
to promote that style of business. I can't remember where that is in Liverpool. I was speaking to
I
somebody.
think Baltic Triangle, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe. Yeah,
maybe the Georgian Quarter, somewhere around there
yeah,
might be worth looking at. And I'm sure every city has these, different spaces where you can go and rent it. The other thing that you can do is you can look at something called 3PL. 3PL is third party logistics, and this is where you get other companies to do your fulfillment. So you don't have to rent somewhere, other companies do it. So you give them the stuff, the orders come through, and they post it out for you. The downside to that, the pros are it's usually cheaper than renting your own premises.
okay.
Not always, but it's worth looking at from a costing point of view.
Yeah,
The downside to it is you're going to have to work hard to find a 3PL that will pack the products the way that you would pack the products, right?
yeah,
Now I know for you, because like I say, we've ordered from your site, and the way you like to send your products is very beautiful, with the way you package them, and I think that's an important thing for a company like yours to
yeah,
do that well. I think so.
yeah.
If you look at
That's my concern.
3PL,
Yeah,
that's one of the things that would be top of my list. Is like, can you do what I do, or can you make it better?
yeah,
Because I found with a beauty company actually how we shipped products made such a difference to whether people came back a second time. And
yeah. People often comment, and like the handwritten note, and
Mhm.
which presumably you get with 3PL, and yeah, it's weighing
Yeah,
up the pros.
it's weighing up the
Pros and
pros
cons.
and cons, what's going to work, what's not going to work. And of course, then there's renting space as well. And I think, the other thing you could do, of course, is there's a beautiful man called Dan Orange, who I don't know if you know Dan. Dan's a
I
great
do.
guy. He just came to me and said, Matt, can I just rent a corner of your warehouse? And we're
Oh
like,
yeah,
of course you can, Dan. We've got plenty of
yeah,
space. How about it? So you could I've just hit the camera, sorry.
yeah.
You
Excited.
could, my arms are longer than I thought they were, Nick.
Yeah,
So you could also do something like that if you know
yeah,
somebody, or if you, because that tends to be again cheaper.
yeah,
It's the only thing to bear in mind. So I think for me, fundamentally, it comes down to a cost thing,
yeah,
and obviously taking the leap. I get what you're saying. I just physically can't get any more designs in,
yeah,
and I think for your business, new design is the lifeblood, isn't it? In a lot of ways.
yeah. It is very, yeah. So new designs, yes. I mean, new product lines is probably so. Primarily it's posters, but each of those lend themselves well to then having, they go well on notebooks or postcards or greetings cards, and then whether it might be a tea towel, there are other things that are potential to
Yeah.
do. But it's those new. If it's a new design, just go on a new poster. I can make that work, but it's product lines, and as I say, volume in terms of getting, if I want getting sort of 3,000 calendars rather than 500 or whatever. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's that
Well,
kind of
there's
thing.
always storage
But
units. That's the other
yeah,
thing you've got. But
that's I've wondered about that.
problematic
So
again. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's not
and I
straightforward.
really want to be able to just keep having days in my pajamas and drinking coffee and not being out of the house. So that's the other thing. The other thing to bear in mind. So
Yeah, I would move to a bigger house then.
yeah,
It's
that's
it's
another
the other
option.
option.
To start selling a lot more posters first, but yeah, that's another option.
Or just go down to the church. Just go down to your church and just say, "Listen, I need some space,"
Yeah,
and see if they'll help out. I think entrepreneurs are great at being creative, at solving problems, and I think
yeah,
if space is the problem, there'll be a solution, and
yeah,
it's just finding one that works for you, which will probably be an interim solution.
yeah,
Ultimately, as your business gets successful, you're going to have probably your own printing press going on. You're going to
yeah,
have, I don't know, embroidery machines in the corner
yeah,
making something or whatever.
yeah.
You're going to need a lot more space for that. But,
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting you said that about entrepreneurs being problem solvers. I mean, I generally, even just that's trying to solve that problem and work out the options. I just enjoy doing it. It's because once you've solved it, you can step back and go, that's worked well, or hasn't, or so I enjoy that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what other challenges have you been facing? I mean, you've obviously got the space here, and that actually comes from growth, which is always a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
Have you thought about, say, hiring staff or are you just going to keep it with yourself?
Yeah, so staff-wise, currently I basically employ teenagers on an ad hoc, including my own, on an ad hoc basis, and that's been packing up the posters because they go in sort of cellophane wraps and packing up the cards, that sort of thing. So that's been quite straightforward. I think that the challenge is, well, first of all, maybe formalising that as I get bigger, because it needs to be someone more regular. But I'm not quite there yet. The teenage ad hoc thing's working fine. But
love teenagers.
Yeah, it's great. So, but the other challenge is if I go on holiday, or I just want to get to a point, I just want to break. I can't really do that without switching off the store, or just putting on the store that the orders aren't going to be dispatched for a couple of weeks. Because it just feels that's another step. It's a big jump from teaching someone just to pack up the posters and cards to packing actually dispatching the orders in the way that I like doing it.
And this is where I wonder whether a third-party logistics would be good for you, because this is the problem that we all encounter. It's like if you are a solopreneur, what happens when you're not there? If you're packing and doing all that sort of stuff, and I just wonder whether third-party logistics would be good for you. If you could find someone to give the same love and attention to it that you give to it, I think that would give you the possibility of growth and taking a vacation.
So that's interesting, because the other thing, you're asking about what challenges. Another thing sort of on my sort of mental list is reaching the market, particularly in the US. So I get some customers there who order online, and it depends what they buy, but I do some drop shipping for posters to customers in the US, but that doesn't work for cards and the other bits of things I do. But I'm just wondering if the third-party logistics could be a solution to that. I guess send a consignment.
I don't even think, I mean, for now it's just more to send them. What my experience is when people buy from the States, especially when they buy from an international company. For example, I ordered a poster from, I forgot his name again, the chap we were talking about earlier.
Oh, Alan Peters.
Alan Peters, sorry, Alan. I'll remember your name at some point.
Well, he's getting lots of mentions. So
he is, everyone's going to be. So I bought one of his posters as well off his company website yesterday to see what it's like. Charged me $8 to ship from the States to the UK. The poster was $30. So in effect, I'm paying almost over 20% shipping, which is quite high. But I am aware that I'm shipping this internationally, so I'm okay. Now, I have a company, and we ship to the States. 30-40% of our products go that side of the Atlantic. My experience is people are happy to pay the international shipping.
Right.
So I don't think you'll have any dramas with that, and I think it'll enable you to grow in that sector. And you just say, right, listen, order what you want off the website. We're going to ship it from the UK. It's going to take this many days to get there. And it's going to cost whatever, $7 or $8 to send it. I think you'll probably get away with about $7 or $8, to be fair. And I think probably what you'll find is your average order value will go up. And this was something that we found, because if someone from the States was ordering, they're going, well, if I'm ordering, I may as well order. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of in an R, and I was going to get this and maybe that later. I'll just get them both at the same time. And then we started to experiment with shipping rates. So we said, right, well, what would happen if on an international order we said we'll do free shipping internationally on orders over £75 or $75 or whatever, I can't remember the exact numbers, Nick, but and we started to experiment with that number. And so you couldn't quite get that figure if you just bought 2 products. So if you bought 3, you would and we would give free shipping, and that seemed to work quite well as well. And that got our average order value up. So I think third-party logistics will be able to help you with that, and I think you'll be able to ship all over the world. I think people will pay international shipping, and I think your average order value will go up.
I think that's interesting. I need to think through that. And are you, I mean, you're at a size, presumably, can you negotiate with the shipping companies to get if you've got sort of an account with them, you could get cheaper prices for shipping to the US, then they might advertise to Joe Public.
Oh, that happens all the time. Yeah. So, in fact, if I was shipping something, I shipped something to New Zealand the other day. I made a cabinet for a friend of mine. It was his 70th birthday, and I made this sort of going back to our hobbies. So this wasn't from an e-commerce website. This is just me shipping to New Zealand. Now, if I go onto UPS's website and put that information in to ship to New Zealand, the figure that comes back is an arm and a leg, right? I mean, it's massive. So what happens is you get companies out there. What's the one that we've used in the past? It'll come back to me. Yeah, just people tune into this podcast, Matt. You're not very good with names. No, I'm not. There's some logistic, and you can just Google them. They'll come up all the time. But there's a company that we use called Transglobal, I think, something like that, Transglobal Logistics or something. You go in, I put the address in. The rate is much cheaper, and what they do is they book out or pre-buy so many, I guess, cubic meters of space with UPS. They offer it, and they get it super cheap from UPS because they're buying so much. And then they sell that on super cheap. So, third party, when it comes to things like that, is super helpful. And usually if you go to a 3PL, because they're shipping out not just your stuff, but have many other people's stuff, they can tend to get much better rates, in theory, than you can get yourself. But again, if you're shipping quite a few of them, there's an argument to say go and get your own account, even if you use a 3PL, because then the post office, I mean, you probably just use Royal Mail, I would have thought, for international shipping.
But there's limitations. So I've got an account with Royal Mail, and someone comes and collects the bags every day. And so I just try to price up a 3 kilogram parcel, and I can only go up to 2 kilogram with that account. And
right.
So it's just so I need to explore options.
Yeah. Again, 3PL I think would be able to help you with that. But again, I would just call the Royal Mail and say, you just need to sort my account out. I just need to be able to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. They are quite helpful.
Usually, I think Royal Mail, bizarrely, are actually getting better. I mean, they were a nightmare for a long time, but they seem to be getting their act together a little bit now.
I find them really helpful. I find their interface of their website a little bit sort of difficult to navigate. But in person, just like you say, just picking up the phone, querying something, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. They've got people there. You could look at apps like ShipStation, which I don't. Maybe actually Royal Mail have got an integration with Shopify, so the information should just go straight in.
Yeah, they do. So my orders will come straight into the Click and Drop account, and it just is easy. So that's a big.
Yeah, what do you have, like a little printer that just prints the label off and you stick it on the front of the parcel?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
then
it's been a game changer just for any other sort of founders listening. That's so like you were describing, I was sort of going to the post office every day with sort of getting increasingly heavy bags, and that was just not pleasant. And then discovered that you can get an account with the Royal Mail, and someone comes at 5:30 every day and picks up my bags, and I wave them off, and it's just a game changer. So I highly recommend picking up the phone to Royal Mail and asking about that. Yeah,
just talk to them. Actually, a lot of these companies just really want to help you, and everyone fears they have to be a certain size. Just give them a ring and find out. You'll be amazed, really. Ask. Yeah, and I think that the thing to do with the Royal Mail guy that comes picks it up every at 5:30 every day, just make sure you buy him a couple of pints of beer at Christmas, and he will be a very happy man. Exactly. And so that's one of the strategies we've learned in our warehouse. There's usually, cases of beer for the different delivery companies that come along.
That's a good tip.
It seems to work. I'm aware of time, Nick, and I'm just getting caught up in the conversation. What's one piece? I mean, you've already shared the thing about the Royal Mail account. What's one piece of advice maybe that you would give to somebody, or maybe you'd give to yourself, going back to 2020? What's one thing you wish you'd knew sort of sooner?
I think sort of keep enjoying it. So I'd keep being grateful for, if things are working well. I think that's what I keep having to remind myself, because even though I've described really enjoying all the aspects of it, there are days where it's like, what am I doing? Because it's there's too much to do or things are going wrong. But just stopping and being grateful for. If I could have told myself in 2020 that I'd be doing this now, and and not getting completely burnt out in a clinic, that would be super happy. So just remind myself of that.
Yeah.
It's not a very
I
practical
love
thing,
that.
but just, yeah.
Well, actually, I think I don't know. I think gratitude is one of those things that is insanely practical and insanely helpful and good for your mental health, and it just keeps it keeps everything going, doesn't it? Really, but no, very good, Nick. Listen, we've got to the stage where I'm going to ask for the question for Matt. This is where I ask guests for a question, which I then answer on my social media channels. I don't answer it in the podcast. This is totally a con on my part. Con's maybe a bit of a stretch, but this is just me to get you to come follow me on social media, basically, dear listener. That's if you've not seen through the ruse, that's all I'm doing. No, it's not. I mean, there's more to it than that. But I'm generally curious. What's the question for Matt?
So it's a question just occurred to me based on what we've just been speaking about, which is how do you how do you keep boundaries in your working hours as an entrepreneur? Do you stick with 9 to 5? Do you just work into the night and just accept that as part of the job? Or, what's your approach with that?
Fantastic. I will answer that question, of course, on the social media channels. Come find me at Matt Edmundson. But Nick, this has been great, man. What's the future hold? What does tomorrow look like for you? Not literally tomorrow, but, where are you going?
Yeah, growing enough to know that this is going to pay the bills. And I think looking towards the international market, I think the US market is huge, particularly, for most things, but including something I do. So exploring that. Yeah,
no, that would make a lot of sense. If you can start cracking into the US, I think I can see that doing great things for you. And some of the things that I would then start to look at are going to be like, would subscription commerce make sense? Like doing a monthly subscription box, possibly that might be a big deal. I do think you might need to get your head around email marketing and figure out why it's not working, because in theory that should be adding 30-40% to your bottom line, and so something's not quite right there, which I think needs fixing.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
And so I'd be looking at that. I'd be looking at getting my email marketing sorted, breaking into the US a little bit more, possibly in a year or two's time, looking at the subscription box, and could you make that work? I think you probably could. There are ways to do that. But yeah, I love what you're doing, man, and I love the design aspect of it. And like I said, you won Zoe over, which is a big deal. So keep going, brother.
That was going to be my final question. What's Zoe's Instagram handle? Because that actually is really good. I love your T-shirt.
Oh, this? Yeah. No, she's creating a whole bunch of stuff for me, which is great. So
is she on Instagram?
She is. I will give her a shout out when I know what her Instagram handle is. I think I'm going to check now. Hang on, I'm going to pull up Instagram. What are you, Zoe? I think she's Zoe.Edmundson. Yeah, Zoe.Edmundson. Has she put any other graphics on there?
No, she should.
No, she hasn't at all. She's just put stuff she's crocheted. Oh no, she's put on there a picture of a pineapple she drew. Which is,
cool. Love it.
A pineapple with glasses. Don't quite understand that, but anyway. But no. Listen, Nick, thank you for the plug for Zoe, but how do people reach you? What's your Instagram handle, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff? How do people find out more about you?
Yeah, so in terms of social media, definitely mainly Instagram, and it's the Christian Poster Company is the handle.
All one word?
And then, all one word. Yep. And otherwise, the website, find me on there, and there's a contact form.
So and the website is?
Good point, thechristianpostercompany.com.
There we go. Brilliant. So the Christian Poster Company on Instagram and on the website. We will, of course, link to that in the show notes as well. So if you're on the podcast app, just scroll down and the link will be in there. Go and have a look, have a browse, and make sure you connect with Nick and say, how's it? And buy some of his stuff because it's really good.
Thanks, man.
Come along and buy. But listen, Nick, thanks for coming on, man. I really enjoyed the conversation, and thanks for being a willing guinea pig. I think Sadaf has conned you into this somehow as we were starting the Founders series. She was like, I'm going to get Nick on the show. I was like, great. I like your stuff.
Yeah, great. No, it's been a real pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. No problem. Now, be sure to follow the e-commerce podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, because we've got more great conversations lined up and I don't want you to miss any of them. And in case no one has told you yet today, let me be the first. You are awesome. Yes, you are. Created awesome. Just like the t-shirt says. It's just a burden you have to bear. Nick's got to bear it. I've got to bear it. You've got to bear it as well. The e-commerce podcast is produced by Pod Junction. You can find our entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app or on our website, which is not it's ecommercepodcast.net. You can find all the information on there. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon and Jonah Prisk. Our theme music was written by Josh Edmundson, and as I mentioned, if you would like to read the transcripts or the show notes, head to the website ecommercepodcast.net, because they're there. They're there. And if you haven't done so already, sign up to the newsletter, because you can do that there as well. But that's it from me. That's it from Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.